Ladies and gentlemen, now in today's video, we're going to be having a bit of a chat and breaking down the second of the 4 roadmaps talking about the future of Marvel Contest of Champions. And this one was delayed a few days. I think it was meant to release on like Thursday or Friday, and it's surrounding the future of alliances. Now, personally, man, I've just been like staying away from alliances the last couple of months. I got really bored and burned out of the grind. Because alliances, they kind of just feel like a massive job at the moment. There's a massive commitment around the clock when it comes to Alliance Quest, Alliance War, and both of those things on top of each other, especially in the current state, where I found, like, you know, Map 7 is very stale, man. It's very repetitive, and Alliance War, I just couldn't care about at all, man. Like, I think Alliance War is just, like, a very bad solution to, like, interesting PvP, but again, these are my personal opinions. I know some people really like it, but there's also a lot of people that are just, you know, really fed up of Alliance War currently. Now, reading through this dev diary, there's some really good stuff about the future of Alliance Quest, and also teasing a new Alliance-based mode of gameplay, big raid bosses. So I'm really excited for those, man. Some of the best stuff when it comes to the changes to Alliance Quest is the global cap is now going to be increased from 5 to 6 energy. The starting energy goes from 3 to 4, and also the Alliance Quest timers are down from 1 hour to 45 minutes. So all 3 of these changes are amazing for kind of managing the time a little bit better when it comes to Alliance Quest, and making it feel like a little bit less grindy over the period of 24 hours, 5 days a week. But you know, it still is a little bit of a slog. This stuff is going to help, but it's not going to alleviate kind of the massive constant grind fest and life commitment you need to make to play Alliance-based content in Marvel Contest of Champions. And I think taking a bit of a step back and playing 7 Deadly Sins, like the only thing I need to do in 7 Deadly Sins for my alliance once a week is I need to fight a knighthood boss. I can fight it any time in the week, and I need to do that for about 30 minutes to an hour, get a really good score for the alliance, and that's it. I don't need to, you know, move like 5 times a day. So I've much more been enjoying systems like that, where it doesn't consume, like, you know, my entire life looking at the clock being like, you know, have I made my moves in the last few hours? And then when I have like a period of like 6 to 7 hours and I haven't done the moves, I start like panicking, like, oh my gosh, what happens if, you know, I've left the node up? So yeah, I don't know, man. Maybe I'm still kind of like burnt out on the whole alliance system, that reading some of this stuff doesn't really get me like, oh, like, yeah, I'm really excited to immediately jump back into Alliance Quest. I still don't really feel that. However, I'm very excited for the future and new features that they're planning on adding into alliances. So we're going to see raid bosses. So it's going through some design changes, and they're figuring out, you know, kind of the best way to do it at the moment. But they're basically exploring massive scale battles in which the entire alliance will take part, recharacterizing some of Marvel's greatest foes as a real threat to the battle realm. So maybe we could see like THANOS bosses, massive ones, Galactus bosses, just all sorts of crazy stuff in the future. And also unique roles and new ways to play as an alliance, capturing some of the great moments from comic book and cinematic history. So they're still in the design stages of raid bosses, and they're going to be bringing it to us as soon as they have something to play. So with this, you know, we might not see raid bosses till next year, but I think this is like one thing that gets me like really excited about the future of alliances, because this is something that I'd love to do, but in its current state, man, I really don't want to go back to playing Alliance War. And I just don't really care like too much at the moment about playing Alliance Quest, but maybe that'll change in the future, because I did enjoy Alliance Quest, especially the Map 7 revamp initially. It's just, I think the repetition of it and the commitment around a weekly basis kind of like, you know, just got me burnt out, man. You know, that is pretty much it. So they're also looking at a bit of a revamp for how link nodes work. So they want to encourage players to interact with them in a more meaningful way. So in the future, instead of just been like a challenged up buffed encounter that's like semi-impossible sometimes. They may instead provide buffs to the players, so you know, if they can have like an interesting like buff and also harder node interaction that made it like a really fun and interesting fight, that'd be very, very cool. Yeah, that sounds curious. Hopefully they're going to be a little bit less of a pain, because I think that's a massive annoyance when it comes to Alliance Quest, is just waiting on people for link nodes. So if there's like an additional level of challenge to push forward that's kind of fun and attainable, I think that'd be a really, really good addition. Also, they're looking at an undo button as well. So this is one thing I think we've all had at some point. You know, you've had a heavy night, you wake up, you go to do your Alliance Quest moves, and you accidentally select the wrong path, and there is nothing you can do. So yeah, at the moment they are in the design stage of an undo button, but no confirmed launch window. That would have been amazing 5 years ago. It will still be amazing today. So I look forward to that, man. And finally, in the more immediate future, there's a help all button planned for a September release. So yeah, that one should be a nice quality of life change that everybody's been asking for the last 5 or so years, but glad it's finally coming along, man. That's really, really good to see. Now, to talk about some of the meat of this post, because there's a lot of stuff about Alliance War. So the core of it gets into the fact that, you know, Season 19, man, there's been a lot of negative feedback about some of the pre-changes. A lot of people really don't like a lot of the new combinations and nodes, and kind of the lack of update to a lot of the kind of, mid to lower levels of the reward structure. So they basically just saying that the current season was in the works for a few months now before all of the feedback. Also, before the start of the season, they're going to be adjusting buffs and node combinations to address the most difficult and frustrating nodes on the new maps. And they understand that wars can be very difficult and stressful, and they're looking to reduce this. Previously, we've mentioned that Alliance War maps were not designed to be 100% completed, and this philosophy came about in a time where many wars resulted in ties, and results came down to diversity. In response, we increased the challenge and complexity in Alliance War, and today we're seeing that this has been pushed too far, that this is a problem. This has been a problem for like 2 and a bit years. So, I remember, like, what was that, New York Comic Con, like 2018, man? I was telling like every dev I could, like, Alliance War is just stressful. It's making so many players quit the game. It's really unfun. Seasons are toxic. They're just killing players' motivation. And yeah, they've just, you know, pushed it further and further. So I'm glad that they're, you know, starting to understand that they need different solutions to achieve their goal. But I think I really don't like the season structure, man, and a lot of stuff about Alliance War. And there's not really, I don't think too much in here that kind of addresses like my big lack of motivation or interest in Alliance War. And moving down, they kind of talk about a lot of stuff that's already been like tested, like, you know, friggin' attacker bonuses and that, and defense tactics have not met their goal because they're just punishing and are just like very annoying to deal with. They talk about updated season rewards and expanding some of the you know, the middle tier brackets to bump up the rewards for alliances that are getting a bit sweaty and trying hard there. Talk about updated matchmaking systems to put more emphasis on war rating rather than prestige, which makes perfect sense there. And then they talk about some of the Alliance War pain points. So the difficulty of Alliance War continues to increase, and defense tactics compounds to this issue. So they're looking at increasing the potency of attacker tactics to potentially give this a bit of a counter there. Also addressing and adjusting difficulty tuning for local buffs and defense tactics quicker. On top of that, players are unable to practice against specific challenges in Alliance War in an environment where there are no stakes. So this has been a thing that's always been very stressful, is, you know, going into a newer champion on a very difficult node, on a very like intense war, can just be really, really stressful for lots of players. So yeah, they're thinking about doing potentially like a test environment for players to preview. So yeah, that'd be crazy, man. That'd be really, really fun if they could make something like that. I wouldn't use it for really Alliance War testing, but just or like all sorts of like crazy combination and counter and build testing. I think this could be, yeah, really, really enjoyable. Also, the cost of wars are high. That's another thing about Alliance War. You know, friggin' boosters, potions, spending all your glory on the additional Alliance War specific boosters as well. There's so much going into like giving yourself a very good safety net when it comes to making sure that you don't die in Alliance War to mess up for 29 other players. So yeah, it's just dude, just thinking about all this Alliance War stuff, it just makes me hate Alliance War even more. So yeah, I don't know, maybe I'm really biased on this one, but they talk about the future of Alliance War, and Alliance War should be one alliance versus another, and that is what Alliance Wars are. So they want to create systems where players feel like they are truly working together to overcome other alliances as a team, create more tools for alliances to craft unique challenges for their opponents to overcome, enabling players more ownership in authoring content for others, implement systems that encourage players to work alongside each other to tackle problems collectively, rather than simply pushing forward in an assigned path. With our current season structure, losing a single war can have a dire consequence for the individual and the entire alliance. Losing a single war shouldn't feel like you've lost out on the season. But that's how it's always going to be in a season structure that has points. So I don't quite get that. They want to make like personal progression, I think, a bit more of a thing. But I feel like with all of this stuff, it's a bit like here's all the stuff that we'd love to do, instead of like, here's a realistic solution of how we're going to do it. Because they've outlined a lot of stuff that they'd like to do with Alliance War, but all of it's just fallen like really flat for the last like couple of years, and it's just pushed so many people away from the mode of gameplay. So yeah, I don't really have any faith in Alliance War kind of being the mode that I'd like it to be, and yeah, it's just I don't like Alliance War. It's basically the long and short of it, and this just doesn't get me interested in the future of it. However, I can get a bit excited about some of the Alliance Quest stuff. Again, the reduction in terms of energy requirements and timers is very nice, and also they're removing link nodes in map 6 and 7 as well. So yeah, that's really exciting, especially in the first set, man. It's very hectic, a lot of moves, a lot of tagging. They're also having a mid-season update in September. Now, with the future of Alliance Quest, some of the stuff that they are looking into is Alliance Quest seasons. So they want unique gameplay that provides a reason to come back and experience something new, not just more rewards to chase, and seasons that fit into your life and don't clash with other seasonal content. So yeah, I'm not really too sure how they do these seasons, because they don't really outline anything like super clear, but that's just a teaser of some of the stuff that they have in mind. But I really don't like Alliance War seasons, so I don't get excited by the idea of Alliance Quest seasons there, but I do think they need something, you know, kind of radically different in terms of the playtime and structure of Alliance Quest. They're also looking at Alliance Quest challenges, so the new direction we want to focus on is custom content creation. So provide alliances with the means to build the challenge they want with their rewards, time investment, and difficulty to match, new challenges to overcome based on your choices, capturing a choose-your-own-adventure experience for Alliance play, a truly unique feel compared to Alliance War and other quest content. So yeah, this seems like, you know, some interesting points there. Depends how it shakes up in reality. Then we got cooperation is king. So they want more cooperation and less coordination. So focus more on cooperation and organic communication between players, and interesting actions and risk versus reward when playing with fellow Alliance members. And finally, champion usage. So they want Alliance Quest to be a place where users can experiment with the new champions they've acquired without necessarily letting your team down in the process. So they want more freedom to bring in the champions you want, not the ones you need, rewarding roster exploration and champion diversity, and using RPG counters for fun, not as bottleneck or roster checks. So I liked a lot of the points about the future of Alliance Quest, man. I think it could be a really good starting point for them to continually make a lot of really good changes and maybe try some stuff that's kind of radically different to the schedule that they have with Alliance Quest at the moment. The thing is, I want to enjoy Alliance content, but I don't want to have a second job where I need to move every few hours. I think that's like the bottom line for me. So if they can make stuff where I can log in, you know, for like 30 minutes once a day, have like a really good session, feel like I'm progressing in like a mega mega map that's over the span of 10 days, but technically you only need the energy from like, you know, 2 or 3 days to complete it. Something that isn't quite as tight, and it's just like more focused on the fun element of things in comparison to being a secondary job, because that's the thing that really drove me away from alliances. They're a huge time commitment, and I know so many players that have a very similar experience of, you know, you get progressing in Marvel Contest of Champions, you join an alliance, you are spending like a ridiculous amount of time looking at timers for Alliance Quest, Alliance War, and it just consumes your life to a level where this just becomes a tedious job and not a fun game to play. So I do think they need to make some pretty radical changes if they really want to get a lot of kind of disenfranchised and burned out players really interested in alliances again. I know there are some people, you know, I'm not speaking for everyone certainly. Some people like Alliance War at the moment, some people like Alliance Quest at the moment, but I just feel like personally they need to move down a route that's more focused on fun and less focused on making the game feel like a second unpaid job. But overall, I'm excited for raid bosses, man. Raid bosses seem really, really fun. And if these are a thing that you can just jump into, you know, once a week, maybe get like a really big score, see how much damage you can deal, and all the scores are like combined, then yeah, I think this could be really, really cool. But it depends on the structure and how they want to do it. But yeah, raid bosses seem pretty cool. I think I would join an alliance again for raid bosses. A massively revamped Alliance Quest that didn't feel like a job, but Alliance War, screw Alliance War, man. Just delete it from the game, add small scale PvP, winner winner, chicken dinner. So ladies and gentlemen, let me know your thoughts on the future of alliances and how much you disagree with my opinions about Alliance War in the comments section below. Aside from that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching. Take care, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic day.